Hello, this is another video to Anekantavad, again on this kind of reality thing, which cropped up in his depressive realism videos, but I think this isn't about depressive realism. I'm more trying to get a handle on what your worldview is and where you're coming from, and to me it seems you're quite a slippery character in that you are very, very keen on not revealing your hand, and so I think it will be helpful to, maybe not, obviously helpful to me, but helpful to everybody really, to I don't know, pin you down and see exactly where you're coming from, not only in this subject of depression, which is admittedly quite a difficult thing to talk about, but in information and organisation of information in general. So you gave us some examples of, here's this picture of this, the pipe picture and everything, and you can say, well, okay, it's not a pipe, it's a painting, and it's made of oil and canvas and everything else, and you showed us a can of chickpeas, and say, well, it's not a can of chickpeas. Well, it is, actually, but it's all these other things as well. It's matter and empty space and blah and everything else. Now, in those two cases, what you're dealing with really is kind of multiple descriptions of the same objects, and but with no conflict, each is kind of just a variant description of those various things, and yeah, okay, that's worth pointing out and everything, but the interest in this really is, how do we organise information when there's conflict of ideas. So I don't have a can of chickpeas, but here's a tin of coconut milk. Oh. Now you just have to, to you that's just an image of a tin of coconut milk. But I just want you, for sake of argument, I want to imagine that you are here and you're able to touch and feel and see this tin, as well as I could, as well as I can. And for sake of argument, you're quite happy that's a tin of coconut milk, or that's an adequate description of that, or that is a valid description of what it is. But I, for the sake of argument, are going to say, no, that's not a tin of coconut milk, that's a tin of chickpeas. So my question to you really is how do we resolve that conflict? How far would you go to convince yourself that my point of view is equally valid, or it is equally valid to yours, or at least not wrong, because from the way you speak, it's as if you could not bring yourself to say that I was wrong, that somehow that you would be being totalitarian in doing so. How far back on the train of everyday living to, you know, I think therefore I am, would you have to go back before you could convince yourself that my view of this as being coconut milk, you know, how charitable would you have to be? You know, would you have to say, well, maybe this guy thinks there's been a labelling error, or maybe he's saying maybe in his language coconut means chickpeas, or whatever. Is the chap just having a joke, or is he lying? You know, having controlled for all of those things, and still the chap thinks it's chickpeas, even after you've opened the can and emptied the contents in front of him. When is it okay to say? The most likely explanation for this is that there's a bad idea in this guy's head, and we can safely categorize this as something a silly monkey does, silly monkey brain does on its day off.